At 10:30 p.m., the hallway was quiet. The lights were steady, the doors were locked, and one of the most high-profile inmates in America was inside his cell. By sunrise he would be dead. Between those two moments lies a timeline filled with routine procedures, reported failures, and unanswered questions. This is a reconstruction of the final 8 hours, based on publicly reported information, official statements, and documented timelines, from the night of August 9th to the morning of August 10th. The Metropolitan Correctional Center, located in Lower Manhattan, was designed to house high-profile federal detainees. Security protocols required regular inmate checks, documentation logs, and constant monitoring of common areas through surveillance cameras. Epstein was being held in a special housing unit, often referred to as SHU, where inmates are closely supervised. Following an earlier incident weeks before, he had briefly been placed on suicide watch, a status involving increased observation, but was later removed from that designation after evaluation. On August 9th, court proceedings related to his case were ongoing. Legal documents had recently been unsealed, and media coverage was intense. According to reports, that evening appeared routine inside the facility. There were no publicly disclosed emergency alerts, no recorded disturbances, and no indication of unusual behavior reported in official summaries before nightfall. Around late evening, inmates were secured in their cells as part of standard lockdown procedures. Correctional officers were expected to conduct regular checks throughout the night. These checks are typically logged at consistent intervals. Surveillance cameras positioned in hallways are meant to record movement and activity continuously. On paper, the system is structured to minimize risk. However, subsequent investigations revealed that scheduled checks during the night were not completed as required. Reports indicated that 2 guards assigned to the unit failed to perform regular rounds. Later accounts suggested that documentation may not have accurately reflected actual observations. These findings would become central to internal reviews conducted after the incident. Surveillance footage from the specific area near the cell became another focal point. Officials later acknowledged that certain camera recordings were unavailable due to technical problems. While some footage from surrounding areas existed, video directly covering the cell's immediate entrance was reportedly not preserved. Technical malfunctions are not unheard of in older facilities, but in this case, the timing intensified public scrutiny. As the early morning hours passed, the housing unit remained largely quiet. There were no publicly confirmed reports of disturbances echoing through the corridor. From the outside, the building stood as it had every other night: concrete walls, secured windows, and controlled access points. Inside, however, standard procedures had already deviated from protocol. Shortly after 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, officers conducting morning rounds entered the area. It was then that Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. Emergency response procedures were initiated immediately. Medical staff attempted life-saving measures before he was transported to a nearby hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. The New York City medical examiner later ruled the death a suicide by hanging. The determination was based on autopsy findings and investigative review. Federal authorities confirmed the ruling publicly. Yet, given the circumstances surrounding the missed checks and camera issues, debate continued across media outlets and among members of the public. Following the incident, the Department of Justice initiated internal investigations into the facility's procedures. Reports concluded that a combination of negligence and operational failures had occurred. The 2 correctional officers on duty faced legal consequences related to falsified records, though later developments in those proceedings evolved over time. The focus remained on institutional accountability rather than alternative explanations. The reaction was immediate and global. Questions about oversight, prison conditions, and procedural compliance dominated headlines. The case had already drawn international attention due to the high-profile nature of the charges. His death shifted the narrative, leaving pending legal matters unresolved and prompting discussions about transparency in detention systems. Even after his death, civil lawsuits and document releases continued. Court filings, deposition transcripts, and investigative summaries entered the public domain in the months and years that followed. While the criminal case against him ended, related legal processes involving associates and institutions remained active. The timeline of that night became a permanent part of the broader story. 8 hours. From routine lockdown to morning discovery. A sequence defined not by dramatic public events, but by missed procedures and documented failures. Official conclusions were published. Investigations were completed. Yet the combination of high-profile allegations and institutional breakdown ensured that the final night would be analyzed repeatedly for years to come. The story of Jeffrey Epstein's final hours is not just about one individual, it is about systems, responsibility, and the weight of unanswered questions in high-profile cases. The timeline is documented. The reports are public. And the debate continues. Because sometimes, even when a case is officially closed, the conversation is not.